Did you know that there is a big difference between growing a business and scaling a business? For many years, I didn't, and it created a lot of headaches for me. It's this misunderstanding that probably had the biggest impact on my 15-year journey through entrepreneurial poverty. It's definitely what allowed me to grow my first multi-million-dollar business broke. So today, we are going to save you from my prior fate and clarify the difference between growing and scaling a business. And we're going to talk about how to recognize when you should transition between the two. To help me unravel this topic today is Michelle Hougland, a best-selling author, YouTube creator, and she has helped not only start new medical practices, but scale a couple of them 4x. So growing and scaling businesses is something she is very familiar with. So let's get started. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you, Buzz. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me. Hey, everyone.
I'm literally bundled up right now. We do not have video for this show because for some reason, the -7 degrees it is out here in Illinois has kept the internet from running high enough so we can have both our videos going. Those who are on YouTube looking at Michelle's name and my little picture, we apologize. But yes, let's dive in and for the listeners and just clarify for us the difference between growing and scaling a business.
Yes, I have to say the biggest thing growing a business is you're building the foundations to just get the business to a level where you can operate under your existing resources. Scaling a business is a whole different animal. When you have taken it, and it's so much fun for me to go in and identify systems to be able to see, are we operating and growing at our fullest potential now? Are we able to duplicate this? Are we ready to invest in increasing our employees? Are we ready to invest in more buildings to be able to truly then scale and duplicate this model?
So when we talk about the systems, you're talking about everybody has a system. What differentiates people or a business that has systems that are good enough to grow versus a systems in place that are good enough to scale?
Great question. So I have to say, with my experience with practices, identifying the friction points. Where are things getting stuck? Can you back up on the train, so to say, and see where can this be prevented before it becomes an issue later on that's costing the business valuable time and money? Are there things that can be done to help iron that out, to lay the groundwork before it gets to be a problem? And then are there things that we can do to help squeeze more productivity and time and profitability out of our daily things that we're doing? Look at your business with new eyes to look in and see, are there some things that we can be optimizing in a way that we may not have thought? Different things I have found that truly it's a layered approach that will help to scale your business beyond your wildest dreams, maybe even beyond where you want it to be. You might have to back it down just a bit, but it does work really well.
Yes, I agree that having systems documented is a big deal for me. There's lots of books out there that talk about that. There's like Friction and the EOS, which I think is the entrepreneur's operating system. You can read a bunch about it. When I look at the difference between growing a business and scaling a business, I look at where the business owner is in that equation.
Good.
And a business owner can grow a business, right? But there's only so much business owner to go around.
Yeah.
So to truly scale, in my opinion, we're actually looking at the systems that will take the business owner out of the equation.
Yep, absolutely.
Which, when you're working with medical professionals, is that harder to do when you have something like maybe a medical professional, consultant, or a coach where they are the business?
I think it's a different animal because the practitioners, they went through medical school because they wanted to help patients. They wanted to serve in that capacity. So genuinely, I have found most practitioners are wicked smart, but they're not entrepreneurs in heart. So they
Oh, yes.
truly, so it's easier, I feel, with my experience of helping to coach people through that process. It's much easier because they just want to do what they love. And growing a business, they're they hire managers and practice administrators and consultants for that. Just
Right.
let me work on the patient. So I find in that particular niche, it is easier. And then making sure that we're laying the groundwork. All right, we've got it. We've ironed out all the wrinkles. Now let's duplicate. And then do we need to bring an associate on? Do we need to open another practice because we're getting so many patients referred to us from this area, which is what my experience was. But making sure we're running at such a level first before you start duplicating it.
I agree with that 100%. And translating that out of the medical industry and into coaching, and as a marketer, I have 30 years of marketing experience, but I have to step back and let my team take the reins. We truly didn't start scaling our business until I was able to completely get out of the day to day.
Wow.
And I think that a lot of people forget that. I have an episode not too long ago in season 1 that we talk about getting out of the way. Like literally just let your people do what they're going to do. They're not going to do it 100% the way you're going to do it, and maybe not even 100% as good as you. But to scale, I think that's where we have to accept some of the inefficiencies comparatively between you running the show and other people running the show. What's your point? What's your point of view on that?
I love that, Buzz. You're right on point with that. I think it's very wise. And when sometimes I think as business owners, when we know how to do every part of the business, sometimes it's hard for us to get out of our own way. And we need people to come in with fresh eyes to do that. But also, I remember hearing an adage once, my husband shared with me, that if you identify 3 things in your life, and for this, our example in business, what are the things first? There's one thing that you absolutely love. It makes your heart go pitter pat and you look forward to it every day. There's tasks and things that you do that you're okay with. They're neutral. You'll take it or leave it, but you're fine doing it. And then there's tasks and things that you do that you dread. If you need to then get rid of as much as you can, the ones that you dread, and bring people in that can do at least 80% the proficiency of what you can do on that dreadable task. And as long as they can do 80% as good, then you need to pass it off to them, because you are the bottleneck of the business. Typically when that happens, find someone that enjoys doing those things.
Yes, definitely. Enjoying doing the things you are even the best at. There was, I can't remember who I was talking to. We were talking, I was actually another guest we had in December, where we were talking about the things that you are best at, the ones that you need to delegate first. Because you hold them so close to it's usually your passion or something that you just happen to be really good at, but it might not be the best place for you inside your business to be in, because you can't work on your business if you're consistently working inside your business.
Yes. So true. My gosh, you're on my business passion is that, as far as making sure that we are not standing in our own way. And also, is there something that we get clouded because we have the emotions of the experience that we enjoy, but yet someone else can come in and say, but hold on, we could do it this way, or we could do it that way. And it really helps to streamline it and helps to take it to the next level.
Definitely. And once we get to the next level, and when we talk about scaling, what we're talking about here is not inventing along the way. Scalability is repeatability. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Think about what Chick-fil-A's, think about McDonald's, that when they got out of their way and they have a system laid down, and the people don't veer from the system because it is so streamlined that they can duplicate it, then that's when the explosive growth can happen and you can scale your business beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah, it's 100%. And in my business over the last 4 years, when I reorganized the creative agency into a digital agency, that was been the whole thing, is like, what we cannot offer services that I can't delegate, period.
Good.
Right. And so what we've done over the last 4 years is basically reduce the amount of offerings that only I can provide down to about 10% of the time, so that I can spend 90% of the time working on the business and allowing everybody else to do that work. And then I can tune in for that 10% that really does need buzz at that point. And Service-based businesses have that constraint. There is usually a personality behind it. There is an expertise behind the company, especially in consulting, medical, any of the professional services, lawyers, and all that good stuff. You can't just being a good lawyer.
Right.
Like, you can teach them how to be a lawyer, but they're good lawyers and bad lawyers, right?
Yes. But like I have experience with the practitioners, taking it to granular levels and then looking at, okay, so what are you like looking outside the box? Like legally, you have to do this part of the surgery, but does the hygienist or is there someone that can come in and actually numb the patients before you do the surgery? Is there other ways that we can do it where we can have you do only the things that you need to do and then bring other people in there are well qualified that can handle the rest? Because you're not going to be able to scale without that.
100%. I love that. And so I think that the one thing that we forget when we do get our business to a point where it's working on our own, Mike Michalowicz actually has a book called Clockwork. Have you ever read that book?
But I'm going to put it on my list.
Put it on my list. The challenge he has at the beginning of that show is that you have to set a date when you start taking a look at the Clockwork framework and setting a date to where you walk away from your business for 30 days.
Wow.
No contact, no nothing.
Wow.
Okay. Now you might have an emergency phone number and stuff like that. Obviously, you're gonna set some fail safes, but the whole point is that you don't get the call and that they deal with whatever is in front of them while you're gone. And the goal is that the business actually takes on new clients, doesn't lose a bunch of clients, and actually grows without you.
Yeah, I had that experience, not in a month, but where I had gotten to the point where I was running two very busy practices, practice administrator, and wanting to take time off with my family and taking a longer trip where we were going overseas. And so while doing that, the doctors, don't leave. I'm like, I've got to leave this. I need my personal time. But they found a way. They solve the problems. If you step out of the way and let the sun shine on them too, you'll start seeing new gifts and talents that your team will have that you may not have seen if they weren't put in that situation.
Exactly. Also, I think that if you step away for a month, the team itself is going to find glaring holes in the system as well.
Yeah.
And so then that you can attack when you get back. Hey, listen, without you here, we're without this, right? And we can't make these decisions because we don't maybe have a decision metric, or somebody doesn't have the authority, or whatever it is that is missing when you're away can't be replicated. You got to fill that hole.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. You can see great ideas too that'll come.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like,
hey, now that you're out of the way, we were able to do this 10 times faster.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, okay. And I always told my team, I'm like, just because I've done it this way doesn't mean it's the only way. Please, if you have a better way, please, I'm always open to learning.
100%. And documenting it, right? Like when we change things, we need to document it. Standard operating procedures or just guidelines, even if it's not something that's an A, B, do this, then this type of thing. Medical fields is like, you have to do things a certain way. Otherwise things go bad. When you talk about consulting, there's a lot of fluidity in the process. What we've done is created milestones, and we've shortened the time it takes between strategies. So say say like one of these firms here, they got to 4x, right? We're scaling. Do you ever think that there's a time a company that is already scaling would have to transition back down to the growth stage?
Yes. I think that it's twofold. It depends on the owners and their desire of how far they want to take this. The industry, of course, is very specific, would be a big consideration. Are they maybe at the point where they are looking at getting close to retirement, so that growing at that point may not be a good idea? Or are they bringing in, for my examples, are they bringing in new associates? Then you definitely need to start growing again. You need to get out there and start pounding the pavement and building more referrals and getting new patients in the door. It would depend on the structure of the leadership and their goals for their future.
So as we're wrapping this up, how does a business owner know when their business is ready to transition from the growth stage to the scaling stage?
I think when everything has become predictable monthly. Now, life is not predictable, but when you're doing your reports and everything is streamlined as much as it can possibly go, and you feel like you've tapped out on your marketing efforts or your capacity to hold like for us, we physically could not see more patients. I squeezed every ounce of the day and had brought in so many support team members to support the doctor so that we physically could not hold anymore. So we had to transition from growing in that regards and then scaling by duplicating our system and opening up other practices. That, I guess, would be my best answer in regards to that.
So when we look at basically the ability to turn on a motor versus having to hand crank a motor.
Yeah.
And so maybe a business owner who can walk away from their business for 4 weeks and it thrives without them would be maybe the catalyst of the ability to scale.
Yes, when it becomes a routine and you really have identified all the broken systems, everything's running as smooth as possible, better than ever, and now you're ready to step out of the way and duplicate. Yes.
So what type of actions can the listeners take in this next week to start pointing their business towards that scaling mode in their business cycle?
I would ask the different people in your business, I would ask their point of view because everyone has a different angle. So ask them, is there anything that you feel that we can be doing to run smoother and to run better as a business? Or if you're resounding response from the team, I think we're doing amazing. I think we're doing everything. That's when, and you have more business down the pipe that you can handle if you were to scale, then that's when it's time to scale and stop growing.
And that's the show. Thanks. All right.